Here now with reaction, former CIA chief of station in Moscow and Fox News contributor Dan Hoffman. Dan, it's always great to have you on the program. These two men hadn't met for many years, and I believe now this is 2 meetings in 9 months. You have to sit back and wonder why they're seizing on this particular moment in time. I wonder what you think it is.
Yeah, I think it's a striking visual there. Vladimir Putin traveling to Pyongyang and joining this select group of nuclear-armed rogue pariah states and flaunting a military alliance with North Korea. He's doing that openly and so brazenly because he's trying to extort the West, particularly the United States, to induce us not to give Ukraine the weapons that they need. Now, we've done that, but we've been too slow to do it, and also to deny Ukraine the authority to strike targets inside Russia. I think that's where Vladimir Putin is aiming here.
And the latest news overnight with the attack on the energy system in Ukraine, you know, those weapons are really important, but you also sort of sit back and look at this bigger picture, Dan, and say this was a war that if we armed Ukraine, they were supposed to win rather swiftly. They haven't. What do you think the next steps are from here? It's been more than 2 years.
Well, I think it's been a failed war for Russia. They've suffered hundreds of thousands of casualties. A brain drain, reportedly, of over 1 million Russians have left the country. Finland and Sweden are now NATO members, and thanks to Ukraine's stalwart defense, Europe has been awakened from their post-Cold War slumber. So those are all good things. The only success that Vladimir Putin has been his rhetorical nuclear brinkmanship, threatening to use tactical nuclear weapons or worse. And that induced the Biden administration not to give Ukraine what they needed when they needed it. Long-range artillery, air defense, F-16s, which still haven't arrived, and tanks. Had Ukraine had all of those things, perhaps they might have launched a more effective counteroffensive last summer, but they didn't. But they're still in the fight, and they have thwarted Russia's attack. The fight goes on. Putin could stop it today. He could stop raining down hell on Ukrainian innocent civilians with those Iranian drones and North Korean artillery and indiscriminate Russian munitions if he chose to, but he's not. And so it's really over to Vladimir Putin to decide on peace, and the only way to induce him to sue for peace is for Ukraine to continue to fight back.
And one way, though, that the U.S. could tie his hands, you know, it's oil prices right now where they are around $80 a barrel that are helping fund the war. He takes the oil, dumps it on the black market. China's his big buyer there. So now we see another strategic alliance that's helping him move forward. If we somehow crippled his bank account, that would definitely help speed up this process, correct?
That's exactly right. It's a very strong point you make. And at the outset of the war, President Biden, the administration said that they would turn the Russian ruble into rubble, that the sanctions that we would impose would have a really significant impact on Russia's economy. Yeah, Russia's suffering a bit. They don't have the consumer goods they once had. Inflation is rampant there, more so than here in our own country. But still, thanks to China, Iran, and North Korea, Putin has been able to keep up his war machine. And you're absolutely right. China is the home for Russia's export of hydrocarbons. And we are not doing much to stop that because we ourselves are concerned about a potential rise in oil prices, I think, in advance of our own presidential election, unfortunately.
Dan, let me ask you this. While you're here, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused the Biden administration of withholding weapons and ammunition over the past few months. The White House has denied the claim. I'm wondering what you make of the growing rift between the U.S. and Israel. This is kind of the same story we were just talking about Ukraine. If you don't get your ally the goods that they need fast enough, it makes the job a little harder.
Yeah, the openness of this rift is disconcerting to me. There is a disconnect there between the United States and Israel about the war in Gaza, not taking the fight so much to Hamas. I think both of us agree that we need to do that. It's the day after. How does this all end? And what do we see for Gaza after Hamas is defeated? Prime Minister Netanyahu and the Biden administration have not been able to agree on that. And I think that's the challenge that we face going forward.
Do you think in some ways, because Israel is an ally, the president shouldn't be so critical of Netanyahu's strategy and just say, listen, as you said, tackle Hamas and then we'll sort the rest out later? In some ways, agreeing on that post-solution now is kind of holding up this whole process.
Well, I could tell you from the time that I served in Iraq, and I served as the director of the CIA's Near East Division, responsible for Middle East and North Africa. And if there's one lesson we learned, it's that you've got to have a post-war reconstruction plan ready to go when you launch your attack. We didn't have that in Iraq, and that's the point that President Biden and his lead national security officials have made to Israel, that you've got to do that. If you want to drive a wedge between Palestinians and Hamas and Palestinian Islamic Jihad terrorists, you've got to show them that there's a way out in the future where there can be good self-governance in that region. And I think that's a fair discussion to have. Again, the concern that I would have is that we're so open about the disagreements we're having with the government of Israel. And during war, you run the risk when you're not on the same page of some collateral damage.
You put your cards on the table. Dan Hoffman, thank you so much for being here this morning. We really appreciate it.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.